Peoria is no longer allowed to sell alcohol after several citations for selling to minors. The city revoked the license today, effective immediately, during a liquor commission meeting. It's what the Peoria County Sheriff wanted after investigators conducted an operation for underage purchase at the business off Western Avenue that was successful at the end of last month. The attorney representing the owner had asked the commission to let Muhammad keep Express Liquors open, but step back to hire other managers with the goal of selling it within 3 months. But because of the underage sales, by one count at least half a dozen, plus the emotional testimony of a mother who lost her daughter in an underage drunk driving crash connected to Express, commissioners voted 3-0 to revoke the liquor license and close the business until it is sold.